Thanks for tuning in to the Teslawyer show. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe and also hit that like button. Also, if you want to get up-to-the-minute notifications, you can click the bell. And as always, feel free to leave comments about this video or anything else you'd like to see.
Alright, so we just had the Tesla Model 3 delivery event. It's not really a reveal event because we have seen the Model 3 for a little while, and we did know what it was going to look like. And some of the interesting facts from the event was that the audience was mostly Tesla employees, which was very cool. This was really an employee event, and he made note of that many times. It was held in the back of the Fremont factory, and they also went out to the Gigafactory where they had another large group of employees hanging out, and they really tried to congratulate them on their hard work, and also told them that they would be in development hell as production is going to start to ramp up pretty soon. And they gave a basic kind of graph showing what that's going to look like. So they were projecting that and many other images on the back of the Fremont factory. And cute little tidbit is the Model S used in Racing for Extinction, car number 006. And I confirmed that with Leilani Munter during I tweeted at her, and she tweeted back to confirm that it was the car. She was also in the audience. She sent out some pictures of her driving the Model 3 during the event or before the event. So she was there enjoying it. So the Model 3, the biggest thing that came out of the event is that the Model 3 will be sold in 2 trim levels, standard and long range. There is no more battery badging, no sizes were given, but I'll get into that more in this comparison between the long range and short range, and our standard and long range Model 3s, and why I believe that the battery is not going to be electronically limited. It is actually 2 separate batteries.
Alright, so the price for the standard Model 3 is $35,000, which we all expected. But we finally got the reveal of the long range, cost $44,000, which is a $9,000 difference. But more importantly, we found out what the range on the Model 3 is, and we get 220 miles on the standard battery and 310 miles, which works out to be a 90-mile difference for $9,000, which is about $100 a mile, which is a better deal than the Model S. But it was a little surprising that the range was only 220 miles, as that's less than the Chevy Bolt, which gets you about 238. But that is not definitive, as it looks like the Model 3s that are out right now do not have an accurate mile count. So I think they're still calculating the miles in the real world, and we might see a small increase. This might be a conservative estimate before we get some more real world data. Tesla also shared the 0 to 60, which is more important to some than to others. I like a quick car, and this is definitely a quick car if it's not super fast. But the standard 0 to 60 is 5.6 seconds, and for the long range, larger battery, you get 5.1 seconds, which is a 0.5 second difference. And remember, this is not the performance edition, so we're probably looking at somewhere in the 4.5 or less for the performance Model 3. You also get a slightly higher top speed with the long range. You get 140 miles, which is a 10-mile-an-hour difference from the standard 130. And the specs for the 0 to 60 and top speed are right in line with the comparable priced BMWs and Mercedes, Audis. So Tesla is really hitting the mark with the Model 3 and their competition. There's no difference in the limited warranty on the car's parts and mechanicals, which for both vehicles is 4 years, 50,000 miles. But we do see a difference in the larger battery getting a better warranty. They're both 8 years for the battery, but the long range gets 120,000 miles, whereas the standard battery gets a 100,000 mile warranty. So there's a $20,000 warranty difference, probably due to, and this also seems to indicate that the long range battery is a different battery completely and not just an electronically limited battery like we saw in some of the Model S's. So calculations made from the range and the efficiency of the batteries that we've gotten off of some of the screens that people have taken pictures of in the Model 3, people are estimating that the standard battery is somewhere between 50 and 55 kilowatts, and the long range is 70 to 75 kilowatts. which is about a 20 kilowatt difference to get us the amount of range that they're saying. So the real indicator that the two batteries are completely different batteries is the weight of the vehicles. There's a 265-pound difference, even though there's no equipment difference between the long range and short range Model 3s. So that a weight must be accounted for by a larger battery, and it would make sense that the Gigafactory is focusing on just making the larger battery pack before they start making the smaller battery pack. Spending more on the larger battery also gets you quicker charging. At the supercharger, you get 170 miles in 30 minutes, which is a 40-mile difference. For the same 30 minutes, you only get 130 miles on the standard battery. Faster charging also carries over at home. If you have a 240-volt outlet with 32 amps, you get an extra 7 miles per hour. But in the overall, to get from 0 to full, it'll probably cost you about the same amount of time, as it's a larger battery, so even though it has a quicker charging, the full charge time should be about the same between the standard and long-range battery. But it does indicate that they are two separate types of batteries. Also, another incentive is to get the long range is because they're producing them now at the Model 3 factory, and they're not expecting to start production of the standard range batteries until November. So there's about a 5-month difference between when they start producing the standard $35,000 Tesla. And of course, after production is deliveries, and there's the earliest estimates for regular non-employees we're seeing is October for long-range vehicles, and then January for standard vehicles, which is about 4 months, which is a little sooner than the production and difference, but this can be accounted for because they expect to increase production. So Tesla and Elon put out this rate of production graph, which shows that production really expected to start to pick up in October, middle of October or so, and their plans are by the end of December to be producing 5,000 vehicles every week. So that's about 20,000 vehicles a month. So that's how the rate of deliveries should increase as time goes on. There was no specific mention of the dual motor or performance version of the Model 3 during the presentation of the deliveries. So Ryan McCaffrey of the Ride the Lightning podcast questioned Elon about it, and he did respond on 7/29, saying probably middle of next year. So we're looking spring, summer, so don't expect deliveries until sometime at the end of the summer, maybe early next fall.
All right, so that'll be it for charts for now and little pictures. I hope you didn't get too bored going through that. But, the Model 3, Elon said that their number one priority was indeed safety. And for that price point in the $36,000 range, it's going to be the safest car on the road. He showed the Volvo S60, which is also a 5-star crash-rated car. And the comparison was fairly dramatic. There was a lot more intrusion on the Volvo S60 than on the Model 3 in their testing. But of course, we're going to wait for the final confirmation. But Elon has been right on the safety all along. So the Model 3 will be the safest car you can buy in the $35,000 to $40,000 range. Of course, the S and X are still 5-star rated. So the whole Tesla line should be the safest line of vehicles you can buy. We'll see what that does to Volvo when they start making their electric cars, if they're going to have to pull up their ante on the safe car, because that was their mantra in the past. To develop the Model 3, it's a mix of both steel and aluminum construction. Of course, aluminum to save weight, and steel, high-strength steel in other places. But steel is less costly, so to bring the cost down, they had to mix the steel and aluminum. Again, he's got a very low coefficient of drag, 0.23 on the Model 3. Very good for getting distance and efficiency in the car. But as we can see as we saw from the battery, we're only getting 220 miles in the base model, in the standard, which again is a little disappointing compared to the Bolt. But I mean, disappointing is probably harsh. We were always hoping for more. I thought that for sure he'd come out with something that would have longer range than the Bolt. Anyway, we all knew it was a 5-seater, but they did confirm that the rear seats are split folding 60/40, as most cars, and they also have two child latch systems, so that you can put two car seats in the back and have them securely bolted in, which is good. This is really could be a nice entry family car when you get, your first kid or two small kids. Like I had, my kids are only a year and a half apart, so two small kids could easily work with the stroller in the trunk and the child seats. But I will say the trunk space is not as large as we would hoped. They didn't give numbers on the trunk and the front, but combined it is 15 cubic feet of space. So I mean, obviously the majority of that is going to be in the trunk, as the front is going to be one size fits all, whether it's dual motor or single motor. It is going to be one size front, even though the dual motor is not released yet, and it's going to be a while before we see the dual motor cars on the road. So we'll know what the front size is as soon as people get in there and start measuring. Also, there's 12-volt outlet, which is pretty cool for your laptops or whatever. It's good to have a 12 volt. You can just plug straight in with accessories. That definitely come in handy. And of course, the ubiquitous 2 USB plugs. And I know a lot of people were still holding out hope for a HUD or some other kind of central dash binocle thing. But again, it's just the one 15-inch horizontal screen, touch screen. It looks pretty good. The UI has looked good so far in all of the pictures we've seen, but I'm sure we're going to get a lot more of that once customers get the cars in the hand and start making videos of how it works. But I think people are going to get used to it. People have gotten used to it in the Priuses. They have kind of a central, it says broken up central display, where the speedometer and everything is in the middle top of the dash, and then other controls are in their regular place. But I don't think that's going to take too long to get used to. The Mini Cooper, the original Mini Cooper, and also the new Mini Cooper also had a central speedometer and stuff like that. Some people have said that it might be a little distracting for the self-driving features, seeing the road and how well the car is adapting to what's happening in front of us. But that's going to come with time. The more you get confident with the self-driving, the less that'll be needed. Again, another little surprise, kind of, everybody was talking about this new key card, how they're going to do the entry. They're not doing a fob, and that's been confirmed. And I have a quick picture of what the key card looks like. But they're also going to have voice controls in the car, which they didn't really emphasize in the Model S and X. So I'm sure that'll come into the S and X. And that will help eliminate the need for the key fob to do some of the controls if you can tell the car to do certain things. But I mean, it can't do the trunk, because that is going to be a manual trunk. It's not going to be the power lift gate on the S, for obvious reasons. That's more complications, more money. But they do have one touch up and down windows all around, which is a little pet peeve of mine. Something I pulled out as good, because it's always a pain when the kids run out of the car and they leave the back windows down. So that will be good, but I'm sure that'll be controlled from the center screen anyway, which you could probably do on the S and X. So another point where the S, X, and the 3 are the same is in the cameras. The 3, as most of you should know, has 7 cameras, forward-facing sonar, and 12 ultrasonic sensors. So that will allow full self-driving. They are going to cost you a little bit of money. And so the $5,000 for enhanced autopilot will give you, right now, they should be able to get lane holding, smart cruise control, and lane changing features. They're also going to increase the freeway transfer so that you can go from one freeway to the next, and also exit the freeway. Still not doing local road driving, but when you get to your destination, the car should be able to auto park, because that's usually parking is on private land, so you can do that even before the regulations allow, government regulations. And then you can pay for the $3,000 for the full self-driving level 5 capability. That's not enabled yet. We don't know when that's going to be enabled. A lot of that will deal with legislation and proving to the authorities that the car is ready for level 5. I mean, we're still not level AP2 is still not up to AP1. A lot of people are saying so. It's going to take a little more time for the autopilot to work out the bugs and for Tesla's new software to catch up to where Mobileye is and then exceed it. But progress has been good, and I don't think they're going to fail on that. But I would, if you're going to pony up the $3,000, I would say, you know, you're going to be 2018, 2019 before level 5 is going to be enacted. So it's your call on spending the money. Of course, charging is always a big thing. You are going to get supercharger access, but for the Model 3, it's the credit system. You're going to get the 400 kilowatts, which equates to about 1,000 miles of driving. So that's going to be free, and then after that, it's pay per use. The Model S, the supercharging is still free for lifetime, and the X, still free lifetime if you get a referral, which now there's so many referral codes out there. There's no reason why you can't get a referral. I think that's one of the differentiators that they're going to use in the to continue in the future. I mean, it is a much more expensive car, but you will have your other charging options, and they do give you cables for a 240 volt NEMA 1450 adapter and also the 120 volt NEMA 515 adapter. We went through the charging rates on that earlier during the charts. You're also going to get the J1772 plug, which works for most of the CCS and chargers. I don't know if they work for CHAdeMO also, but you're going to have that with the 20-foot extension. So charging should not be too much of a problem. And now we'll just go through a bit of pricing charts so you can see what the total cost of your Model 3 will be, whether you're getting long range or short range.
So the wonderful guys at the Tesla show did a rendering of what an entry-level Model 3 will look like, whether or not you get the long range or standard with no other options, including color or wheels. This is what your Tesla will look like. I think it's pretty beautiful. I do like the aero wheels. Now let's take a look at what the options will cost you to get your Tesla to look a little different. So now let's look at some of the options and what they'll get you. If you're getting the black Tesla, of course, as we stated, it'll be free, but any other color will be $1,000 extra. So as I said before, the black, standard black is free, but if you want another color, you get 5 choices. If you want to spend the extra $1,000, you can get the quite dark midnight silver metallic, or the lighter regular silver metallic. They also offer a deep blue metallic paint, the pearl white multi-coat, which is quite nice, and the final color is the red multi-coat. Sorry guys, they didn't say anything about the SIG red, signature red, for the early adopters, and also these beautiful turbine wheels don't seem to be on offer. Although those turbine wheels are not on offer, they do offer you one wheel upgrade from 18 inches to 19 inch, which will cost you $1,500. So for free or standard is the aero wheels. They're 18-inch wheels. I kind of like them. They're very unique. Or you can spend the extra $1,500 and get the 19-inch sport wheels. They both come on all-terrain tires. I'm not sure if they're either Michelin or Continental. These were probably just tests to find out which tires did the best. So as I said before, the standard autopilot is $5,000. This will give you pretty much adaptive cruise control, lane changing, but it will not get you to full autonomy. So to get full autonomy, you have to also purchase the self-driving, $3,000, so it'll be a total $8,000 package, which is the same as the Model S and X. So this will get you to a level 5 full autonomy. So the final option is the premium option, which bundles a bunch of things together, which I'll go through in a minute. That's going to cost you an extra $5,000. So you're looking at a fully loaded standard Model 3 at $50,500 and a long range at $59,500. But the cheapest Model 3 that you can get if you want to have priority in production is the basic Model 3 with the long range and the premium package, which will total $49,000, and that will get you at the front of the line when your time comes up in the queue.
So again, the premium upgrades, it's your call for if you're going to spend that much, but for it. But I think it's a good package. It's combined a couple of the previous packages that they've had, whether it be cold weather, not performance. That's going to be later on, and there's no pricing on that. But you get with it the premium heated seats and cabin materials throughout, with 2 more USB ports in the back for your passengers. Another thing is the 12-way power adjustable front seats. But they said seats, so it should be both passenger and driver. Not sure, but they did say seats plural. Then you get the steering column and side mirrors adjustable, with also programmable driver profiles if you have multiple drivers. Hopefully that'll be keyed into your phone, so as soon as you come to the car with your phone and the Bluetooth, it recognizes you as a driver, and it'll do that without you actually have to go and push a button. That would be a real convenience. Again, premium audio. We get, more power, better speakers, good subwoofer. People did complain about the premium auto in the S early on. They have made some improvements. I don't think that the one in the 3 is going to match the S, just because of the price difference and all of that, but it should be a decent stereo system. But if you're going to go with a real stereo, you got to go aftermarket. Then one of the big things is tinted glass roof with ultraviolet and infrared protection. You do get a rear glass roof automatically. That is on all the cars. It's I haven't seen it exactly with where the brake will be, but I imagine it'll be somewhere just behind the heads of the drivers, somewhere along the B pillar. That's the natural place to do a break in the roof. So that's something that a lot of people want, and I think that's going to get people to pay for the premium upgrade. Also have auto dimming, power folding, and heated side mirrors. You want the folded mirrors if you live in places with a lot of congested parking, like California and in New York. A lot of people park on the streets, and you'll see so many side mirrors on the floor. That's definitely a feature that I look forward to. It'll also have LED fog lights, which I'm sure are brighter. They'll last longer. And finally, you'll get the center console that has a covered bin, and it'll also give you 2 smartphone docking stations, I guess, for the wireless charging, so you don't have to actually plug in your phone. You'll just put it down and it'll charge. So that's pretty much about it. If you want to do more, you can always look at Electric, who has all the details written out, and I'll put a link to that in my show notes. So the Model 3 event was pretty good. Not as much detail as people were probably expecting, but it's confirmed, things that people were already suspecting. And it was generally a good event. Nothing really surprising. Production seems to be on schedule, as we talked about earlier. And, good luck to Tesla. Model 3 seems like it's a hit. They did confirm that they have over 500,000 reservations at this point. So it has gone up since the last report. And I mean, I don't see anything diminishing the Model 3 once it's on the road, unless they're coming to a real snafu, most likely with safety. I think any production issues, early production issues, they'll correct it while the hands are in the employee hands, while the cars are still in the employee hands. So I think definitely by November, December, any of the real obvious stuff will be corrected, and it should be pretty smooth sailing as long as they can get those 10,000 parts to California on a timely basis. The Model 3 should really change the game.
As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe by clicking on my logo, or add a comment. You can find me on Twitter at Teslawyer Show. And before you leave, don't forget to check out another one of my videos.